What's up, everybody? I'm going to give everyone a couple seconds to get on. Per usual, we're back. Hey, everyone. What's up? How's it going? Hey, everybody. We're back again. What a week. Hey, everyone. What's up? Can you all hear me? Is my audio all right? Hey, everyone. Someone said help. Yep. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Someone said you're still the best. You're still the best. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for hopping on. Someone said do TikTok lives, maybe. Someone said please save us. We're going to talk about it. Hey, everyone. Someone said, what a weekend, it's only Tuesday. 100%. Can you please help us? I'm going to do everything I can. And I think that's kind of why I wanted to connect with you all this week. Because it's going to be, as we can tell, a long 4 years. It's already been a long 48 hours. And I think that there's a couple of principles that I want us to kind of lock in on early in the beginning of this administration. And I'd love for some of you all to, if you'd like to share some of your advice or some of the things that you think is really important and some things for us to remember in the comments, please drop what you think is important in the comments here. Someone said, are you working closely with the burn? Yeah, I was just using this podcast studio earlier today, actually, for recording something. All right, so I want to talk to you all a little bit about some of these principles. Someone said, send more emails out. I love getting those reminders. We will. Someone said, how are we going to survive with so many Dems going rogue? I'm going to talk, we're going to talk through it. But first and foremost, I think it's really important. There's a couple of guiding principles that I want us to think about just right off the bat. And it's one of the things that I've been thinking about right off the bat. And I'll also start providing some updates around some of the beginning kind of changes we're already starting to see from the Trump administration. But broadly speaking, obviously Trump was inaugurated yesterday, and we saw the scene, right? They sent a message pretty clearly and pretty directly. The people that were in that central rotunda watching the president get inaugurated, who were placed front and center, were not people who were elected. They were not even your elected officials. They were not actual representatives of democracy. They were unelected billionaires. You had Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and then you had your elected officials kind of kicked to the curb into much of the rotunda. And that pretty much is the story of the Trump administration in a nutshell, right? You're getting ripped off. All of us are going to be getting ripped off for the next 4 years. But what do we do about it? Because I think a lot of people are looking at this with cynicism and saying there's nothing that we can do. And I want to really emphasize that your day-to-day actions are tremendously important. In authoritarian regimes, the vast majority of authoritarians, the vast majority of anti-democratic rule is all of that authority is freely given. It's kind of like consenting in advance. It's when people give up in advance, and so they just comply. And one of the most simple things that we can do is just not comply. Today, the Trump administration, and also last night, the Trump administration signed a bunch of illegal executive orders. For example, Donald Trump tried to sign an executive order to end birthright citizenship in this country, which is part of the Constitution. It is day one already trying to shred the foundational documents of American society and try to end birthright citizenship, which basically, as we know, if you are born in the United States, you are a United States citizen. That remains, that is the law, that is the Constitution. And he just tried to sign a piece of paper trying to say no. We don't have to listen to him. It's illegal. We don't have to treat this seriously. It's a joke. And that's not to say that what they're trying to do isn't serious. It is serious. But we should not consent in advance. Another thing, for example, is that they have begun to launch ICE raids in cities across the country. There are ICE raids and there's increasing ICE presence that we're seeing roaming the streets in Chicago and New York and Detroit and all over the place. But at the end of the day, if an ICE agent walks up into your workplace and they demand to know where somebody is, you can ask them for a warrant. This is the United States of America. And I don't care what Elon Musk is doing behind a presidential seal. In this country, we hate Nazis. Kind of like a foundational defining thing. Two of probably the most foundational defining things about American history is that we beat the Confederates and we beat the Nazis. And I don't know what side people may be on today, but I still am not rocking with anyone sympathetic to Nazis. And I will do that until I am 6 feet in the ground. Like, kind of foundational to me as a human being. And so if you're cool and want to defend the Sig Heils and the Nazi salutes, all the whatever you want to do, that's on you. I'm on the opposite side of that. I'm not with the Nazis. How about that? I mean, but it's very important for us to assert these things, because in times like now, what people want is for all of us to just give up. They want all of us to just give up and say, America's gone to hell in a handbasket and we're done. And just let them do what they're going to do. No. If there are no good people left in the world, I want to be the last one. And that's the ethos every single one of us can take. Like, if you are a hardworking, innocent person, I have got your back. Like, if you are just trying to make it in this world, I've got your back. Like, if you're not trying to hurt anybody, I got your back. And it's so important that we affirmatively assert that, because now more than ever, there's a lot of people that don't know who they are safe with, right? You look at someone on the street and you can't take for granted whether they're with you or not. And so when we assert ourselves, when we share information, when we let people know, and when we speak up, and we signal to other people that there are people in this world who have not given up. And there are times when we are not in positions of greater power. And sometimes what we are able to do is very limited. But even in times when our hands are tied, one of the most enormously powerful things that we can do is keep the light on, keep the candle on. And I think it's so important that we do that. Don't let these people's bullshit get you down. You're going to do a Sig Heil, you're going to do a Hail Hitler, or their rebrand a Roman salute from behind the presidential seal of the United States of America, it's on. It's on. And what is so important for us to understand is that as long as we don't give up, it's not over. It's not over. It is not over. Libs of TikTok started crying because I said over the weekend that Donald Trump is a rapist, and they went on Twitter and they went, oh, boo hoo hoo. And I said, basically, F you, cry more. I don't give a shit. Like, you want to support a rapist? That's on you. That's on you. But I don't. And they wanted to call in all of these threats into my office and all this other stuff. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. And we're going to keep standing with trans people. We're going to keep standing with the LGBT community. We're going to keep standing for the working class. We're going to keep fighting for a minimum wage. We're going to keep fighting to guarantee health care. And they are just relying on us giving up. They're relying on us giving up. Hell no. Hell no. They can do what they want. You know, they do have power. They have the White House, they have the Senate, and they have the House of Representatives. But we have our voice. We have the streets. We will not be afraid because that's what they want. They want us to be afraid. They want us to bow out. They want us to do these things. And we're not going to do that. What we are going to do is this. What we're going to do is this. They are back a second time. They are back stronger, and they are back smarter. But guess what? We are back smarter too. We can be smarter too. I see Attorney Martinez just joined. Shout out to her work. I haven't talked to you before, but I love what you're doing know your rights information out here. If you check out my official handle at Rep AOC, we should be posting Know Your Rights graphics, whether it's my Know Your Rights graphics, we have it in English and in Spanish, or any others from a verifiable organization. Share them, print them out, post them up in your workplace. But if you're a small business owner that stands with the immigrant community, put that stuff in your window. When ICE knocks on your door, say, show me a warrant. I am not complying with anything until you show me a warrant. That's what it is. We are a land of justice if we make it a place of justice. And we do not have to comply with illegal activity, even if that illegal activity is coming from the President of the United States. Like, we have to comply. And the way that we force them is by not complying with illegal activity. And so we do not have to consent to any of this stuff in advance. Ask to see a warrant. Let me talk about something really quick too, especially on the immigration point. There's this bill that just sailed through the House and sailed through the Senate, unfortunately with Democratic support. And I'll get to that in a second. And it's set to sail on Donald Trump's desk. It's called the Laken-Riley Act. And when you see that, right, like what we're seeing in the Laken-Riley Act, which first and foremost, Laken-Riley was a victim of a horrific act of violence. And her family specifically asked that her death not be politicized. And it breaks my heart every time I see the Republican Party wield such a horrific event and put a victim's family through all of this when they specifically kind of asked not for that. But that's an aside. It just speaks to how little they care. But secondly, they're using this to say, oh, to drum up all of this anti-immigrant hate. And they say, oh, this law, we need to be able to deport people who have committed violent crimes. That is the law of the land presently. That is the law of the land presently. What they're doing, though, is that they're taking that sentiment, and what they have snuck into the Laken-Riley Act is a complete gutting of our civil rights. This is like the way they did the Patriot Act, right? This is like the way in the wake of 9/11, and they suspended all these civil liberties. They're doing that with the immigration debate right now. In the Laken-Riley Act, if you are accused of a crime, you can be deported. If someone points a finger at you, and also that includes dreamers. That includes people who have lawful status, who have like law status, dreamers. If you have that status, someone can point a finger at you and accuse you of shoplifting, and you can immediately be deported. No day in court, no chance to defend yourself, ni nada. And that is like and why is this happening? Because of the political venom around immigrants that have been built up, that we are now allowed, like that politicized environment are now just allowing people to rubber stamp the total stripping of our civil rights. And understand that if you are a U.S. citizen, this is hurting all of us. This is hurting all of us. And so last I heard, this is a nation of laws. And this is a place where people should have a day in court. And then when you are convicted, if you are convicted of a crime, then your consequence may follow. But to just point a finger at somebody for something as simple as shoplifting, and there can just be immediate deportation of dreamers, of, whatever they may be, like, this is the problem here. And it's also why our solidarity matters. Because I'm going to tell you all right now, they do not give a damn about the cost of eggs. They do not give a damn about making your mortgage payment lower. They don't care about making your prescriptions more affordable. As a matter of fact, one of the first things that Donald Trump did was revoke the Biden executive order that lowered prescription drug prices. This is like the whole game right here. They are here for the fossil fuel CEOs. They are here. Los Angeles has been on fire. People have lost everything. And we haven't seen even a single shred of urgency from this Republican majority, from whatever, about even a disaster supplemental to help people get the FEMA assistance and everything that they need. And so this, understand that all of this is a distraction. But the distraction doesn't mean that we dismiss people's rights. It just means that we stand with it so solidly that they can't break us up, so that we can keep the focus on the things that they need to deliver for people, which is healthcare, housing, and more. And by the way, I want to make some things crystal clear. This country without immigrants is about to get really, really expensive. Really expensive. Because this administration, let's break down some math for you. This administration says that they want to deport 20 million people. They want to start on day one, right now, deporting 20 million people from the United States. You know what is the estimate of how many undocumented people, the generous estimate of how many undocumented people there are in this country? 14 million. So they want to deport 20 million, but that's their target number, but there's only 14 million undocumented. What do you think that means? They're going to go after legal status. They're going to go after people who are presently documented, They're going to try to make them undocumented and deport them too. And so for all the people who say, oh, they're only going after, quote unquote, illegals, they're only going after them, all the people who, quote unquote, came right, they're not, please, like, really? Please, you are getting so duped. Like, please, I'm begging you, do not be born yesterday. We need to be eyes wide open. They are going after people who are documented, period. They're going after immigrants, period. And that gap between the 14 million undocumented and their goal to deport 20 million, you better believe that they are going to try to make up that gap too. And there's a lot of people in this country who want it both ways. They want to blame all of our problems on immigrants, but they want to be able to afford when their mom or when their aging mom or dad needs home health care. Home health care aides, very immigrant heavy workforce. Agricultural work, you're concerned about the prices of your groceries and you don't want there to be a labor force to be able to provide those groceries, to be able to provide your produce? What about home construction? Like, this is not a joke. This is not stereotypes. This is real. Food processing and manufacturing. We're going to get rid of all of those people. We're going to try to do that. And you're going to think your stuff's going to get cheaper? In fact, economic studies show that one of the largest reasons why the U.S. outperformed the rest of the developed world, economically speaking, post-COVID, which we did, one of the reasons why that happened was precisely because of our immigrant population. It was precisely because of the U.S. accepting immigrants and the labor that they provide that we were actually able to economically outperform the rest of the Western developed world in the challenges post-COVID. Immigrants pay more in taxes than a lot of billionaire-owned companies do. In fact, they are responsible for trillions of dollars. Our immigration policies and our immigrant population is responsible for trillions of dollars of growth and also revenue assets, taxes in the U.S. economy. Because yes, undocumented people pay a lot of taxes. They pay a lot of taxes. So for a lot of people who are blaming immigrants and looking at immigrants and all of this other stuff, know that you're sending your kid to school that's paid for by immigrants. Know that your Social Security is paid for by immigrants. Know that your parents can be able to retire and that large portions of our social safety net are funded also by immigrants because they pay taxes into this system that they don't even qualify for. They don't even get the services from. Medicare, hello. Medicaid, hello. So for all of this rhetoric about how immigrants take, and that they're terrible and they're all this and that, understand that it's a key part of what has made America, what has actually made America great economically. And that's before we even get to culturally and all that other stuff. And so I know that I'm not in the popular camp right now, right? It is not popular to stand with immigrants right now. The Democratic Party is hemorrhaging on this issue, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see so many people voting to gut civil liberties in the United States. But I also understand why. Because Fox News and all this other stuff has pent people up so much. And the way that we need to do that slowly is dismantling it with facts. With dismantling it with facts. Because frankly, unless you're a descendant of slaves, or if you're indigenous, or a descendant of indigenous people, like we are in this. We are all descendants of immigrants. And them's just the facts. And there's all these people that talk about coming here the right way, coming here the right way. The Trump administration shut down the CBP One app. They shut down the doors for people trying to, quote unquote, come here the right way. And so the whole reason we have a one of the big reasons we have a border, quote unquote, border problem is because we shut all the doors. And so when you shut all the doors, when you don't create a path to citizenship, when you make it impossible to be documented, people are going to be undocumented. And so the solution to this problem, when we have so many American businesses saying that they need workforces, when in fact, sometimes a lot of the reasons why some things are expensive is because we don't have people working and able to produce these things, is to actually, you know what, like maybe a lot of these towns that have been like really vacated and are empty, maybe they need people in them. And just like, it is wild to me about how people want to have their cake and eat it too. We need to stay focused. And when we stay focused, part of staying focused is, yes, we got to make sure that people have their rights, but also like, do not let our eye off the ball in who is ripping people off. Like, this tech industry is completely in bed with Trump for economic purposes. And the rich are getting richer, and they're going to cut Medicaid. They want to cut Medicare. Like, the documents are out. Republicans had a big memo on how they want to raise their revenues and pay for things that got leaked. And I was reading through it today. They straight up, they want to cut Medicare. They want to cut Medicaid. You know what else was in there for some of you folks that are homeowners? Cutting the home mortgage interest deduction, like Social Security, like it's all on the table. And they are hoping that everyone just is so consumed with this immigration stuff or the trans stuff or whatever social panic that they want to generate, that you're not going to notice that they're all ripping you off. And every day for the next 4 years, if I have to get on here and say, this is how they're ripping us off today, this is how they're ripping us off tomorrow, but also here's how we fight back, then I will. I did not want to be in this position. I think a lot of us did not want to be in this position. And a lot of us worked very, very, very hard to try to not be in this position. But the other thing to remember is that while these people say that they won with a mandate, no, they didn't. Half of this country thinks this is BS. Half of this country thinks that this is BS. Like, actually look up the number by which Trump won by. They're acting like this thing was a landslide. They're acting like they actually won a majority of Latinos and Black people and no. We are going to have to continue to keep our feet on the ground and remind each other of what is real. Because, I'm going to, Meta, my platforms may be suppressed, other platforms may be suppressed, accounts may be suppressed, they might prevent reach. Do not underestimate what these billionaires, tech billionaires and CEOs are willing to do and what they're willing to suppress in order to placate Trump, including media outlets as well. Elon did this whole Nazi salute, and if you looked at mass media, didn't really talk about it. And if you look at, so understand that we will sustain one another. We will sustain one another. And it is important that we continue to signal to one another what we believe, because if we get quiet and if we feel like we're just going to sit back, then everyone around us is going to think that everyone has given up. And I do not sense that energy. People may be a little quiet, but I think it's because people are reorganizing themselves, reorienting themselves. And we also, like I said, we are getting more sophisticated now too. We're going to conserve our energy and understand when a distraction is a distraction. And we're going to use our energy on the things that we believe matter and the things that we know are strategically important. Y'all, we have to stick together. We cannot turn on each other. We do not have the luxury of turning our backs on well-meaning people and on one another and on being in coalition and being in community with one another. And, you know, this has been a hard time, but we have to be giving each other the right people grace. These people are saying give the people that are saying hail Hitler grace. Hell no. But giving the right people grace, bringing them into community, you know, doing the hard work of community, which is, by the way, healthy confrontation with people on your side, not the like, I'm going to dispose of you because you said something I disagree with. It is, hey, this thing hurt me and I want you to know, and I want us to be able to practice repair. You know, that work is going to be important because we're going to have to grow. And, you know, I just want you all to know that you're going to be hearing more from me. And the reason for that is because, and I want to be clear about that, because people might say, oh, why are we hearing more from you now? When we govern, we have to divide up our time. And when we're in a position to govern, you have to split your time because you need to do the actual work of governance. And sometimes it can be really hard to explain what you're doing while you're trying to do it. And like, you also just functionally have less time, you're split. But now, as I mentioned, Trump has the White House and Republicans have captured the Senate and the House, which means that my responsibility is in trying to explain to you all what is going on as best as I can and leaning into our ability to collectively organize. My goal is not to be alarmist. It's not to make people like exhausted in the running around. What do we do? La la la. But I do think it's important for us to be informed. And so I want to inform you, and I want us to have a place of connection. And I think this applies not just to me, but to everyone that you follow that you think is important. Have multiple avenues of communicating and connecting with them. And so like for me, for example, and I'm literally not saying this like just as a personal plug, but as we know, you literally don't know at any point when they're going to pull the plug on any one platform or any one handle. So if you want to stay in touch, I suggest hop on my email list. I'm on Blue Sky. Like, now is the time for all of us to be following each other on multiple different avenues. Email, like other platforms, etc. Because as we just saw with TikTok, in an authoritarian regime, they're going to be, if they don't pull the plug on entire platforms, they may pull the plug on people. They may pull the plug on specific accounts. And so that's why it's important that we all develop that connective tissue as much as possible. But I'm here. I want you all to know that I'm here. Again, if you go to not this account here, the other account, @RepAOC, Know Your Rights, graphics are on there. ICE raids have begun. You do not have to answer without a warrant. You can have your right to an attorney. And the more we share this information, the better off we are. And you know what? Like, day one, Donald Trump is kissing Big Pharma's ass, and he's kissing Big Oil's ass. And, you know, there should be political consequences for people who take stances against the working class. So here we are. And someone said, how do we get email? The links, if you go to my website, Ocasio-Cortez.com, you can sign up for the email newsletter there. All the links should be in my bio. And we'll be there with y'all. Thank you so much. Just wanted to let you know we're not going anywhere, and we're in this together. Bye-bye.